Good evening, everyone. We will now begin the evening service of the Miroku Association headquarters, expressing our gratitude to God and Meishu-sama for the blessings and protections received while participating in the construction of paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and Miroku prayer, please stand. Taka amahara ni kamsumarimasu. Kamurogi kamuromi no mikoto mochide. Sumemi oya kamuri sana ino mikoto. Tsukushi no himuka no tachi anano. Odo no ahagi harani isogi harai kamo. Toki ni narimaseru. Arai dono o kami tachi. Moro moro no maga koto tsumi kegare o harai tamae kiyome tamae toma o sukoto no yoshi o amatsu kami kunitsu kami yao yorozu no kami tachi tomo ni ame no fuchi koma no mini uri tatete kihoshin mese to kashikomi no maozu. Miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae. Miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae. Oshie miyoya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae. Oshie miyoya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae. Kom nagara tamachi haemase. Kom nagara tamachi haemase. Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truth given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light, so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized, with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light, so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan. Please be seated. We will now receive group Johrei.
May God and Meishu-sama bless you.
Johrei is now concluded. We will now listen to a reading from Meishu-sama's teaching. Guidance for living in this world. To follow the path God has prepared for us and to obey His divine guidance leads to peace of mind in this world. No need to wonder why things do not always go as the mind desires. It is usually because the mind and heart are not pure and clear. The only way to live happily in this mortal world is to live in harmony with the cosmic law of God. When I am faced with a difficult problem that seems to defy a solution in spite of my best efforts, I turn to God for help and guidance. I release my problem to His wisdom and wait, trusting that the answer will present itself. I can say from experience that even if a prospect looks dark in the beginning, the result is always better than anticipated. I also dream big dreams and pray to God for His help in bringing them to fruition. He blesses me beyond my dreams in His own ways through His wisdom. It is indeed wonderful. Once in a while, I encounter something the prospect of which is so disheartening, it weighs heavily on my mind. I say to myself, this must be a prelude to something good, a blessing in disguise. Then I wait for God to clarify the problem. Later, I find it turning into a wonderful blessing indeed. What seems to be an adverse condition proves to have been a necessary purification in order to make the blessing possible. By placing my trust in God, my life has been richly blessed with His miracles. This is what I mean by the joyfulness of faith.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this evening service of the Miroku Association. In the teaching today, we have this passage. Once in a while, I encounter something, the prospect of which is so disheartening, it weighs heavily on my mind. I say to myself, this must be a prelude to something good, a blessing in disguise. I mentioned here a couple of services ago about this story of this very spoiled prince. Many princes are spoiled, I guess. And his hobby was hunting. He would always go on hunting, and the wise men of the kingdom would always advise him and say, everything that God does is perfect. And the prince would go on his business. One day, coming back from the hunt, he had an accident and he lost a toe. He was so mad and went to the wise man. You and your God or your words, everything God does is perfect. Look at me now, I lost my toe. Little prince, everything God does is perfect. He didn't pay attention to the wise man's words and continue on his business. While he was continue hunting, then one day he was caught by a tribe of cannibals. So the cannibals felt that the prince would turn into a good meal. So they were preparing his body to be cooked. But while they were preparing, they realized a toe was missing. And they had a tradition. They couldn't even for cannibal purposes, serve themselves as something that is missing a part. So they dismiss the prince. Oh, you don't serve even to be meal for us, for our tribe. So he had to go back so he could return to his palace and report it to the wise men. And the wise men didn't pay much heed to what he had to say because he always said, yeah, everything that God is perfect. Because yes, if he would have his toe, he would now be on this tribe's stomach, if you will. Another story, this is a real story. There was this woman who grew up on a farm. So there was a family farm. She loved everything that was there. And then some years later, she lost her vision completely, and had to wait years and years for a cornea transplant. She was always frustrated, and she was always praying that the main reason she wanted her vision back is if she could only see all those childhood memories in the farm and whatnot. Then eventually, she got her cornea transplant so she could see again. And then when she had the opportunity to see the farm that she dared so much, she was heartbroken because everything was transformed. Throughout the years, all the images she had from childhood had changed. Oh, what did they had done to our farm? Oh my God. And was so disheartening that she actually wished to be blind again. Oh, why did I fought for this cornea transplant and whatnot? So it is very true to this teaching. To everything that God does is perfect. Even in a situation like that lady, God knowing what was in that lady's heart, spared her from a suffering, but she forced the situation, or she didn't expect that she would be so disheartened, but that's what happened. So I felt that was very relevant to today's teaching. And I would like to share a faith experience. And this is from Portugal. I hope you're gonna enjoy it. It is from Vanessa Machado. And I will. Vanessa has been a member of this Porto Johrei Center for a year, and the experience that she's sharing with us is related to the search for a solution of her youngest son's Gabriel. He had a kidney problem, and he's 6 years old. After labor, she was severely depressed and turned to medications for some time. In 2017, with the desire to stop taking medications, a friend invited her to the Johrei Center, and she received Johrei for the first time. She returned there about 4 more times and then stopped going. Sometime later, she participated in a course and was very surprised when the teacher said, "A human being is made up of energy. The highest energy that I know and that we can receive is called Johrei." In June 2020, due to gastroenteritis, Gabrielle, her son, performed an abdominal ultrasound and the doctors detected cysts in his left kidney, with the serious possibility of having to undergo surgery to remove it. Vanessa was very worried and thought it was inevitable to go back to taking sleeping medications and antidepressants to face everything that was going to happen from then on. As the evaluation of the malignancy of the cysts was necessary, her son had pediatric oncology consultations at the Hospital de São João. She felt it was devastating to be in the waiting room, next to parents and children in such suffering. Faced with this situation, she thought about her Johrei friend and decided to ask her for help. She quickly scheduled a visit to the Johrei Center to speak with the minister, and after a long and good conversation, she was inspired to receive Johrei every day along with her son. At that point, she remembers telling her friend, after the guidance received, that it would be almost impossible to keep Gabriel sitting in a chair for more than a few minutes. Her friend replied that this should not be a cause for concern, that the important thing was that the child was accompanied by a parent while receiving Johrei. And in addition, this friend explained to her that Johrei would cause changes in herself and in her whole family. Although it seemed strange to her, she did not mention anything because her goal was for Gabriel to improve. The guidance received turned out to be a great challenge in several aspects, since in addition to not enjoying driving, she was always stressed out about finding parking spaces. She was thinking about the difficulty of keeping Gabriel welcoming Johrei for an hour or two, about feeling tired after a day's work, not to mention all the housework that would be left to do. In the meantime, she decided to put everything aside to prioritize her son's health. Her daily routine consisted of dropping off her son at early education school at 7:30 in the morning, working from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., picking up Gabriel at school and going directly to the Johrei Center where they would receive Johrei at least until 7 p.m. So it would be about an hour and a half of Johrei. During the month of July, they were able to visit the Johrei Center on a daily basis. Vanessa's husband took Gabriel sometimes, other times was Vanessa herself doing that. And on Sundays, they went to the minister's home, who with great love received and guided them. Before she went on vacation and with the desire to channel Johrei to her family, in the month of August, she received the sacred focal point, Ohikari. Subsequently, from September to January of this year, 2021, they continued to attend the Johrei Center almost every day and occasionally received religious assistance in her home. She was very motivated and relieved when she was able, for several times, to park her car with ease near the Johrei Center and was very supported by the Johrei members. They helped keep her son distracted, doing drawings with colored pencils. So all these details encouraged her not to give up. Among other things, the minister gave her guidance on the important relationship we have with our ancestors, and that when they elevate themselves, the whole family prospers. Then she remembered that a relative of her husband passed away with a kidney disease and realized that there was a relationship of this disease also manifesting in other members of his family. In this way, together with the minister, they began to pray for the ancestors to receive the light of God and Meishu-sama, to be elevated and saved. Later, she made a special donation for their enshrinement, Johrei Saishi. Time passed, and the doctors could not reach a conclusive diagnosis due to the complexity of the case and the fact that it was not possible to do a biopsy. However, to her and her husband's surprise, her initial anxiety had decreased a lot, and she was already sleeping better without the need for medication. She was not panicking by the doctor's hesitation about the need to remove her son's kidney, and could surrender to God and Meishu-sama her concern and attachment. Little by little, she began to appreciate the information she received from the doctors because from the need to remove the entire kidney, a positive stage had passed. In February of this year, her son underwent surgery, removing the cysts and only a small part of the kidney. The surgery went very well, the recovery was quick, and today he has a normal life. Beyond this blessing that God and Meishu-sama granted them, she has never needed to take medications again. With this fact, she has learned that when we dedicate ourselves with determination to the basic practices of faith, we are not only blessed in what we seek, as it was in her case, the health of her son, but also, as her friend told her, it would generate changes in herself and in her whole family. She has also learned not to suffer in anticipation and believes that if we do our part, we will have God and Meishu-sama always looking out for us. She is sure that if she had not met Johrei in our church in Portugal, this purification would have been much more difficult to deal with. She has already guided 3 people to our church. She's engaged in the practice of Johrei at home in making regular monetary gratitude offerings. She has also made a special donation of gratitude to thank God and Meishu-sama for the wonderful blessings received. Vanessa is very grateful to her husband for all the support, to the ministers for their guidance and following up on her. She is also grateful to the members for the love with which they have always welcomed and assisted her entire family. So this was the wonderful experience from Vanessa of Porto, Portugal that I would like to share with you. Wish you a very blessed evening and hope to have your presence at our Friday 10 a.m. morning service. Thank you very much.
This brings to a conclusion our evening service. Thank you everyone for joining us and have a blessed evening.